G'day there, guys. Napoleon Bonaparte was once attacked by a swarm of rabbits. That's true. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it, because why not? Cheers.
Am I the arsehole here for breaking up with my boyfriend after he made a very inappropriate comment to my sister? I'm gonna start by saying I don't think I'm the arsehole, but now my ex-boyfriend claims that I've been overreacting and exaggerating. I've been dating this guy for 3 years, and I really thought that he was the one, but today he made me quickly change my mind. I have a half-sister, 16. I'm 22. We have the same dad and different mums, and we don't look much alike. 2 years ago, my dad developed a severe form of leukemia, and he passed away within a couple of months. Needless to say, it was the hardest thing that my sister and I had to face in life. My sister took it particularly hard. She used to love going to the gym and working out, and she stopped doing so. She also started eating much more junk food and ended up gaining a lot of weight. Today, my boyfriend and I went to my sister's house as her mum had invited all of us over for lunch. We were eating homemade pizza, and my sister ended up asking her mum if she could have another slice. That's when my boyfriend said, "Are you sure you want another one looking like that?" My sister got up from the table and ran to her room. I was in shock, and I wasn't able to tell him anything, nor follow my sister to her room, which I deeply regret. Thankfully, my boyfriend and I don't live together. So before he dropped me off at home, I told him it was over because he can't disrespect my sister like that, especially because he was there when my dad died and he knew how it made us both feel. I tried to call my sister, and she won't answer. I texted her mum to ask if she's okay, and she said she is okay, and that she's not mad at me, but she doesn't want to talk to anybody right now. I'm going to go over to her mum's house after she's done with school tomorrow and bring her some flowers. I know I'm not the one who said anything, but I hope that she can forgive me for not stepping up. I was in shock, and I hope she understands. In the comments, SweetP916 says, "Not the asshole. And good job for kicking him to the curb and trying to be there for your sister. If he said that to her, just imagine if something happened to you, like getting pregnant, and you gained weight or something. He showed his true colors. And can you imagine this man being a father to girls, telling them to watch what they eat all the time and stressing them about looking beautiful? He would instill a sense of self-worth completely reliant on the way they look and not who they are. Not the asshole. OP dropped the trash at the curb." The part about this guy being a dad to girls is very valid. My dad used to tell me things like, "Oh, well, you'd probably have more boys like you if you lost a little weight." I also got stuff directed at me by my mum. It really gave me a lot of insecurity that I barely got back in my mid-30s. Not the asshole. This man body-shamed your sister for something he doesn't know that she is going through. He sounds immature as hell. Even worse is, he does know. OP says he was around when their father passed away. Right? And each grieving process is unique, and everyone takes loss differently. Just one single horrible comment could make the process even harder than it already is. OP, I'm so sorry for your loss. I genuinely don't know what he expected to happen in this situation. I'm guessing he's around the same age as her, like 21 to 23 years old. How can you come into your girlfriend's house, criticize the grieving family like that, and then think everything's going to be hunky-dory? I'm sad that I don't get to see what his reaction to all of this was, because I want to know what he had to say about it. He's like, "Babe, no, please. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just trying to help." That's what I imagine the reaction would be, at least. But it is incredibly heartless and disgusting to shame the family like that in the wake of the father's death. Like, who the hell does he think he is? That is never going to be acceptable. And he deserved more consequences for his actions than what he got here. I have half a mind to jump through the screen and beat his ass myself. Our next post is by user MarcelTorak, and it's titled, "Oh no, your job is broken." So not me, my husband, but it's just so beautiful. So, jerk face comes down while my husband is working the front desk at a hotel. My husband is on the phone with another customer when Jerkface starts smacking the counter and loudly yelling about how the free coffee has run out. My husband politely points out that he's on the phone with a customer and will refill the coffee as soon as he is finished. Not good enough for Jerkface, who loudly complains, swearing the whole time. Eventually, because hubby is still on the phone, he stomps off. Later the same day, he stomps out of the restaurant attached to the hotel, grumbling and complaining, and my husband calls out that the coffee is ready. He starts yelling at my husband about how it's too late now and comes up to the desk to vent his anger. He starts swearing at my husband, so my husband tells him to pack his stuff and that he has 15 minutes to leave or the cops are called. Our hotel has a no-tolerance policy for direct verbal abuse to staff. Jerkface doesn't start packing. Instead, he keeps swearing at my husband and threatening him just as the general manager walks out of the office, who tells Jerkface to get out or he's calling the cops. General manager also points out, while ending the man's week-long stay at the hotel, that he knows the man's boss by name and will be calling said boss to make sure that Jerkface never stays at our hotel again. General manager does indeed call the boss and has promised that Jerkface won't be coming there again. General manager also sends the boss the video of Jerkface and his behavior, and an hour later gets a call that Jerkface is fired because that is not how this company behaves. In the comments, VXDiva says, "That is such a satisfying story. I hate self-important people like that." OP replies, "It's something I love about our workplace. We literally are allowed to kick you out and cancel your reservation to the hotel if you act abusive. Swearing or name-calling, making threats to the staff, etc. I wish more places had similar policies. Then the jerk faces of the world would understand that life is better when you aren't a jerk. R/Tales from the front desk would probably appreciate this too." And OP says, "Oh yeah, I bet they would." Lost his job and reputation, all because he was mad about free coffee. I truly do not understand some people. I suspect that some people have severely underdeveloped empathy skills and do not recognize that other people are also people. I mean, if I'm going to hark on about my days working at Macca's, then yeah, there's a lot of people that do come through the store that don't realize that other people actually exist, and that when the manager of Macca's isn't actually on their side, it's like a brain disconnecting moment for them. What do you mean the customer's not always right? We had one rip out an FPOS machine once in a blind rage. It was quite the experience, I will say. Our next post is by user registerbest4296, and it's titled, "Stepfather told me to plug his computer back in, even though it was storming really bad." So this happened about 20 years ago when I was about 14 or 15 years old. I grew up with my dad telling me to always unplug my computers when there was lightning because it could strike the house and fry the computer. At this point in time, I was living with my mum and her new husband in his house. In the den, there was a computer for the adults and a computer for me and my brother. When I noticed the storm, I went into the den and unplugged both computers. As I was crawling out from underneath their desk, my stepfather came into the room and asked me what I was doing around their desk. I told him that I unplugged the computer because there was a lightning storm happening. He got mad at me and told me that I was never to touch their computer or desk and told me to plug it back up right then. I tried to argue. I've always had a little bit of an attitude when I'm told I'm wrong, when I know I'm not, and he just got madder and told me to plug it back up and be quiet. So, I did as I was told. I didn't plug our computer back in though, just theirs. Later that evening or the next day, when he tried to boot up the computer, it wouldn't turn on. Turns out, it got fried during the storm. The urge to say "I told you so" was so strong. Edit to add, his reaction was to complain about the computer not working and try to ask my mum and brother why it wasn't working. My brother explained that it was probably struck by lightning from the bad storm. He avoided me like the plague for a while after that. Bebin says, "I lost a computer one time that way. Not fun having to buy a whole new system because you forgot to buy a surge protector. After that, I'd unplug during the real bangers." OP says, "I know, right? This was back before surge protectors were a huge thing, I believe. I definitely have surge protectors for all my expensive stuff now." Let me guess. When the computer failed to turn on, he blamed not the lightning, but you for unplugging it, right? Because you were messing with his computer. OP says, he tried lol. Then he thought better of it because I told my mum and brother about it before he tried to turn it on later. Bella Ding Dong says, when I was a kid back in the olden days when there were only landlines, they used to tell you not to be on the phone during lightning storms because lightning could strike the telephone pole and or the wires and zap you. Every once in a while I catch myself worried about being on the phone during a thunderstorm, even though I haven't had a landline in 20 years. Old habits die hard. OP says, I used landlines at a job a couple of years ago, and we were told the same thing, lol. It's like 2021. Why is that still a problem? I grew up in an old house with cast iron plumbing. Back then, it was common practice to find ground in your wiring with the plumbing instead of installing a proper ground rod. The IEC, Europe, didn't require them until 2018. Mum always made us get out of the tub long before the storms got close. I still think about it to this day, and I'm a journeyman. My mum would always be like, oh guys, the internet's slowing down because there's a storm coming above. Lol, the internet's not working because the storm's rolling over. And yes, the lightning thing was also very prevalent because we had a landline too. But I have to wonder if the internet thing was because of storms or because we had like an average of 3 megabyte per second internet up until 2019. And if I'm recounting the internet back from the mid-2000s, it was more like half a megabyte to 1 megabyte a second internet. And yeah, you would have it do that top-down loading of web pages really slowly and just like not do it back in the day sometimes. Could have been from the horrendous amounts of viruses I was giving the computer as a result of LimeWire. Or it could have been that damn lightning and thunder. I guess we'll never know. Our next post is by user NaturalNecessary, and it's titled, I, 35 female, regret marrying my husband, 34 male. How to get past this? So I'm a 35-year-old female who made a mistake of a lifetime. I grew up in a household where my parents fought a lot. During my doctoral years in graduate school, I was in a stable 4-year relationship with a doctor that felt perfect. My ex was loving, funny, generous, kind, and had very strong character and a similar internal value system. We never fought. I was happy, fulfilled, motivated, secure, and overall a better, stronger person with him by my side. I remember looking at him while he was driving once and thinking, man, he will be such a good dad one day. The segment in my life with him was happy, but looking back, it also felt alien. I'd never been in such a stable relationship before. I didn't grow up like that. I had never been this supported or happy. I didn't know how good that I had it. However, our sex life wasn't great to non-existent. At the end of our relationship, I ended up moving away for a highly competitive once-in-a-lifetime job offer. While away, I cheated on him, and we are no longer together. I cheated on him with my husband. My husband and I met because we share a similar passion for trail running ultramarathons. We loved being outdoors, and having someone by my side in such a niche sport felt special. I overlooked the fact that he only graduated from high school and was/is making minimum wage, while I make 6 figures. I was young and thought that love would prevail. I started to see cracks in our relationship as time went on. While I was working hard and overtime to save up for a house, he would disappear for days on camping trips, leaving me to take care of household chores and our dog. We fought over so many little things and had countless communication issues. We do not communicate well or do conflict resolution well. I also noticed that our sense of humor didn't always jive. For example, there was a time that I questioned if he's racist because of jokes that he made with his friends, and it really bothered me. Our empathy levels for others and this planet are very different. But I was in my 30s then and thought that I needed to make this work. I later learned that there's guilt from cheating, and oftentimes you feel the need to end up with a person to make it feel right. So, we got married and now have a baby. After having a baby, our differences and conflicting values are amplified. So after marrying, he took an expensive career change, which I am funding. He comes home from work tired and sometimes needs to study after work on weekends. When he's not studying, he lies in bed on his phone instead of spending time with me or our baby. He says he needs to decompress. He is always on his phone, whereas I cut down on screen time for my baby. He says that his career comes first, even though it doesn't pay much compared to my career. He says when he gets a chance, he's going to move our family out of state to advance his career. I told him I do not want that because we have grandparents, good schools, and a strong community here for our child. He does nearly 0% of childcare throughout the week. On weekends, he may have 15 to 30-minute play sessions with our baby, but it's always spontaneous, on his time, and I never know how much free time I will have before he says, I need to get back to studying. So it's hard for me to get things done or run errands out of the house. Despite him being very absent as a parent, he is very opinionated with raising our baby, and everything seems to be my fault according to him. Not a pleasant experience. He threatens me with more workload. If I complain about his absence as a dad while he's playing with our baby, he leaves the room and says, I'm playing with him for you. If you're not grateful, I need to get back to work. Similarly, I did all of our taxes as always, and he offers to help me mail the packet. When I complained he forgot to attach the W-2s among other missing things, he said this was too complicated and he's going to bed. Never said thank you to me for doing our taxes, leaving me to finish the task that he offered to help. He is entitled. For example, he saves $0 for the down payment of our home, yet our home needs to have 3-car garages, and he needs an extra room for a music studio that he never uses now. Yes, I wanted to be a good partner and conceded to his demands, and now feel resentful. I also feel resentful when I see friends who married their classmates now living in nice, safe, highly sought-after neighborhoods in beautiful homes, or have 2 to 3 homes, while we need to make some compromises, as I'm the sole breadwinner in our relationship. Our educational level differences also show in our conversations. He does not seem like he looks into global or political issues deeply or empathetically. He has no interest in doing or learning how to do conflict resolution. It also appears that he's too insecure to apologize. After knowing him for 8 years and countless arguments, he's only apologized once or twice to me, while I apologize after nearly all arguments. He is always tired. One morning outing to the park, and he needs to be in bed for 3 hours. 2 hours on his phone, and 1 hour napping. Yes, I know money and income and education isn't everything. I know this may be my fate from karma from cheating on my good ex. I'm just feeling lost and alone. I'm wondering, I don't know, if anyone has any advice, if things will get better, or how can I move past this? Do you think I made a mistake? Thank you for reading. In the comments, sorry, but your last point is so funny. You think your ultra-marathon running partner is exhausted by going to the park? The truth is, he just doesn't want to spend time with you and the baby, just like how you don't really enjoy your conversations with him. You both resent each other. I ran 26 miles and feel great. 2 weeks later, wow, an hour at the park watching 2 squirrels fucking wore me out. It's been 8 years of this, and you still think that things are gonna get better? Has it gotten better? No. Will it get better? No. What makes you stay? It can't be the child that he never spends time with. You've made one mistake in marrying him, but you can still get a divorce. You don't have to live your life stuck with him. Edit to add, please get therapy. The good relationship felt alien to you because it's not the version of love that you grew up seeing, so it felt alien. Then you met and cheated with your husband, who is familiar to you. He's basically your dad. You repeated the cycle, but now that you've identified it, I suggest therapy to help you break out. Individual therapy, not couples. I know you don't have the time, but you need to carve out the time for therapy. Hey OP, this is it. Hard truths and an action plan. People, this is why you don't trust the spark. Whenever people put high emphasis on chemistry or passion or spark, I insist that compatibility is paramount to a relationship's success. Reddit loves to downvote this thought, by the way, but the fact is that spark doesn't get you through newborn life, and chemistry doesn't pay the mortgage. Only an equal shared commitment to partnership and collaboration will. So you can have a few months or years of spark, but when the rubber meets the road, I hope you also have substance to fall back on. I've said this. Chemistry, spark, falling in love are all awesome, but they're not enough to survive a lifelong marriage. Controversially, none of these things are necessary to a successful marriage. No, you're not wrong to say that those are non-negotiable for your marriage. Most Westerners go for that. I go for that. But the trick is to remember that it's the icing, not the cake. I've been working in tech for a number of years where I have been exposed to many cultures. I am astonished at immigrants who barely knew their spouses, one met the day of the wedding, and are decades into marriages that at least from the outside look a lot more successful than many Western couples who started out in love. Look for the spark if you want to have that, but make sure you're not just looking at the relationship equivalent of pretty icing on a cardboard box. Is it mean to say that this relationship is karma? I get that we have the whole explanation of, oh, I had a fucked up childhood and so I went with what was familiar to me. In the same instance, you had therapy that was available to you as well in order to readjust and figure out why you're so fucked up. You didn't have to marry the first man that was like your dad. You didn't have to have a kid with him. You didn't have to buy a house with him. Now you're 8 years deep in the consequences of your actions. And like the comments are all saying, I heavily suggest you pull out. Yes, it's going to sting. Yes, it's not a great idea. It's not in everyone's best interests, but it is in your best interest, OP. We don't have to live resenting our husbands, our wives, for the rest of our life. We don't have to stay stuck with them. We can leave them. Although you've just put yourself in the worst position possible, marrying, having kids with, and buying property with them. Like, there's not much more enmeshment you can add to this one. I empathize with the situation that you're in, but also, you chose to be here. So I can't feel too bad about it. It's not like you didn't have a choice. You were fully aware of where the relationship was going. And now you're at a crossroads, so you have to make the difficult decisions, and you have to do the things that hurt. So when you do it, good luck, I hope you get therapy, and I hope that you never repeat these mistakes again. Thanks for the story.
G'day guys, Outro Marky here. Thank you for watching the episode today. I do hope you join me for another one. If you liked it, click one on the screen right here. If you're watching on Spotify, click another episode in my profile. Thank you for sticking around to the end. See ya.